Hello, welcome to my video special on rearing. So, rearing horses. Why does a horse rear? It could be discomfort, badly fitting tack, a veterinary or dentistry issue. It could be a training issue, poorly trained horse. It could just be that the horse is young or inexperienced. Of course, the horse could be frightened, something in the environment, or it could be napping. Napping is a term that means not wanting to leave the horses or the stables, not wanting to go out there. It could even be picking up on the rider's lack of confidence, sensing that the rider doesn't want to be going out there because the rider's feeling frightened. And so the horse is thinking, well, if you don't want to go out there, and then the nervousness happens and the reins start getting tight and everything gets a little bit unpleasant and the clamping on starts, any of those things could cause a horse to rear. However, the main thing to remember is rearing is unacceptable. Rearing is so unacceptable that we don't even accept the little jumps and pops that sometimes people might think is a little bit exciting, or say, oh, I enjoy that bit, it shows that they're excited. Well, to a horse, you've got to keep it stupid simple. It is not okay to rear. It's very hard to explain to a horse that this is acceptable and then this isn't. How are you going to explain to a horse with his very simple brain how many degrees is acceptable? 78.5 is your limit. It's not going to happen. The answer is no. You don't rear. You don't do the little rears, you don't do the little pops, you don't do the big rears. No. So what's the problem with rearing? So here we are in the arena with Freddie. You might have met Freddie if you've been to the courses, and Bullseye. You'll know Bullseye from such films as Toy Story and Toy Story 2. So what's our big fear with rearing? Horse goes up, it comes down again, no harm done. Of course, the big fear is that the horse is going to go up, carry on up, and go over backwards. So with horses going over backwards, do you think they want to go over backwards? Of course they don't. Quite often, if a horse accidentally sends itself up and over backwards, it will probably never rear again and frightens itself. Secondly, when horses are out playing in the field and they're all running around having a jolly time and they're rearing up at each other, do they fall over backwards? Not usually, no. They're usually fully in control. So, why is it that a horse then goes up and over backwards? It's because the rider's frightened, we've got hold of the rein, the horse has gone up, caught us by surprise, we fall, we hold on to the reins to try and keep ourselves on the horse. And the horse is there. If you imagine this horse is up on his back legs, it can't come down. It's going, get off my mouth, and it's over backwards. So what's the best thing that Freddie could do? As soon as the horse rears, these must not be pulled. We need to drop that contact. We need to do two things. We need to drop the contact on the rein, and then we need to make sure that we don't fall off. So we need to hold on, and we need to hold on tight. So here we are, Freddie's got hold of the mane. You could get hold of a plait. If you haven't got a mane, you can have your neck strap. You get these arrestor straps that go from the little rings on the saddle there that you could get hold of. The crucial thing is you've got something prepared. You're not trying to make up something at the time. You could get hold of the gullet of the saddle, you could get hold of anything that you are prepared to get hold of and you know and you've practiced. So with Bullseye, with his good old mane and his great big plaits or whatever, we're fairly used to that. So Freddie, if you grab hold of a plait there, you're not going to fall off. And look how wonderfully loose these reins are. We're not going to pull the horse up and over backwards. So to reiterate, the two main fears of rearing is falling off and the horse going up and over backwards. So what we need to remember is to not fall off, you need to hold on, and to not pull the horse up and over backwards, you need to loosen off that contact. Fortunately, the solutions for these two outcomes are the same. Move your hands forward and grab hold of something. Grab hold of the mane, for example, and you've got hold of something to hold on to, and the reins will be loose. If you don't have a mane, then maybe you could put a neck strap on. Neck straps are not for novices, they're for keeping us safe and training our horses. If you don't have a neck strap, have something else. Have something prepared. Maybe you'll buy one of those arrestor straps, or maybe you've got a high gullet on your saddle. Whatever it is that you do, have it prepared and be practiced exactly what you will do in that situation. Okay then, so we're going to rear Bullseye and just show a few things. As you can see, Bullseye doesn't seem particularly excited, doesn't particularly look like a horse that's going to rear. That's because our energy is all low, low, low. So when you get out on your horses and you're nervous that they're going to rear, your nervous energy goes higher, 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 higher. And that's how you start to get the responses. So I don't think he's going to rear particularly well from this sort of half asleep position. So we need to raise that energy to get excitement or nervous or scared. It's all just energy. So we're going to raise his energy. Well, Freddie's going to take him for a little trot round, sort of spark him up a bit, and then he's going to come into this and we're going to ask him to rear. Freddie's going to ask him with his legs, I'm going to ask him with a whip. So all I'll do is just lift the whip in front of the horse and the horse will rear. Hope. Two, one, height! Oh, good lad. Oh, what a good boy. Never treat a rearing horse. We do because it's our job, but there's no reason on earth why you'd want to teach a horse to rear. Okay, lovely. Right, and then 3, 2, 1, height! Good lad. Good lad. Do not reward a rearing horse. Okay, and again. Right. There we are. This time I want you to look at Freddie's position. Make sure you see exactly what he's doing. Okay, 3, 2, 1, height! Okay, so what do we think of Freddie's position? So he didn't particularly do anything much. He didn't particularly lean forward. He didn't particularly lean backwards. He leaned forward a little bit to make sure that he didn't pull on the reins. But when you think of it, your centre of gravity is there. Your centre of gravity is here. So leaning forward dramatically is only going to move your centre of gravity a tiny bit. But if you throw your hands around the horse's neck, which some people advise, your head's coming down, the horse's neck is going up. The chances of you mistiming that and ending up with a bloody nose are fairly high. And remember, it's your centre of gravity that you move in, which doesn't move very much. If it was that important to always throw yourself forwards, and if you didn't, then you'd somehow pull the horse over with your weight, then you wouldn't get those beautiful photos of circus girls rearing horses and laying back down the horse's tail, because it'd be impossible, but they do quite happily. So possible. So you don't have to change your position particularly. Sit up straight. The important thing is to hold on. Okay then. Should you go for it again? 3, 2, 1, height! Good lad. Good lad. So, I want to explain how we ask a horse to rear. Not that we are ever going to ask your horses to rear, but if we explain the signals that we use, you might see how some people use exactly the same signals inadvertently. So to get a horse to rear, we use leg and contact. So the leg's asking the horse to go forward, the contact has shut the front door, the horse can't go forward, it's being urged forward, so it goes up. It's very similar to rein back. If you do rein backs on your horses, you've got your legs telling the horse to move, you close the door and they move backwards. Whether they move backwards or whether they rear, it's down to how you've trained them. So let's say we're on our nervous horse or our young horse and we're coming out of the yard and we're going to go for a nice ride and we can feel that the horse is backing off, maybe wanting to nap back to the stables, and we can feel that it's going to rear. So you want to go that way, and you have to go that way, you have to keep moving because the horse has to stop in order to rear. However, if the horse has stopped, we then need to keep moving. So the horse has stopped and we've got our leg on, we know we have to keep moving, and so we put our leg on more, and the horse has stopped and we're feeling a bit nervous and maybe assisting with the horse's stop by pulling on the reins just a little bit or even a lot, and you're kicking and you're pulling. That's how we rear horses. So that's how come they rear. So should we try a little bit of acting? We're going to try a little bit of acting now. Okay then, so do you want to take him out in a circle? You're going to be impressed by this. Okay then, so we're going out of the yard, the horse is nervous, we're nervous, all the energy's up, the nervous energy. Okay, come on then, Bullseye. So, there's something stopping the horse, it's napping, in this case it's me, and you're kicking and pulling, and you're kicking and pulling and getting nervous and pulling more.
Walk on. Walk on.
There we are.
Walk on.
Now, Freddie's thought of a solution. So we had to get the horse walking. We had to get it walking forwards. It wouldn't walk forwards in that way. So Freddie quite rightly said walk forwards that way. You may recognise that solution. A rear is solved in the same way as a plant. If you know that you've got your horse, and you know when horses plant and they just won't go any further, and they won't go and they won't go, and you're left there kicking like a cartoon, if you get the horse to cross its legs and walk to the side, then the horse will continue to move forwards. A rear is just a super plant, an absolute no, I am stopping. You need to get the horse moving forwards. It won't move forwards that way, but it will move forwards that way. And even though it was me standing here queuing with the whip, it was still a real situation. The horse knew that it should rear and it will get a treat, but it didn't, it couldn't, because Freddie overrode that by making it walk on that way. You can't go that way, we will go that way. It reasserts your mastery and it gets the horse going. As soon as the horse has taken a step, you've won, because it needs to stop in order to rear and you're not letting it stop. Take a big circle, take a small circle, and then come back at the same direction again. When you've decided that you're going to take another bite at it again, it could be that the horse stops again and you have to do another circle. And it could be that the horse stops again and you have to do another circle. And you may wiggle your way all the way out. But as long as the horse is keeping moving forward, you're going to win. Eventually, when we have horses that rear a lot and are troublesome, it comes down to a small signal, and the signal is a quick flick on one side of the rein and a sharp word, and the horse knows that means do not rear. Because in our job, not only do we have to teach the horses to rear, we have to teach them not to rear. Okay, so Freddie, just grab hold of his mane again there, please, would you? Right, so the horse has gone for a rear. You found yourself hanging on there. Now, I said earlier that we don't want to be around the horse's neck because we might get a headbutt, but here's another thing. If you put yourself right down on the horse's neck, if you would, when the horse comes back down, you're now in no position to ride the horse and carry on and educate it. Put your head up bullseye. You're now in no position to ride that horse forward. If you straighten up your arms, Freddie, as soon as you come back down, you're back in your normal position, ready to take control and drive forward straight away. Right then, Freddie, normal amount of contact, you're going for a ride, it's a beautiful day, the sun's shining, the birds are singing, you're having a lovely time. Suddenly your horse stops and rears. Grab hold of the mane there. Grab hold of it tight, really tight. Tighter than that, the horse is up on his back legs. It's pawing the air, flames are coming from its nose. Everybody around with is screaming. Ah! And shouting bad advice. Crack an egg on its head. Don't bother you, you're cool as a cucumber. You can stay up there till Christmas if you want to. Eventually the horse will come down. And when the horse comes down, you can jump off it and go, I am not going to buy this horse. Go home, have a nice cup of tea. However, if it's your horse, we're going to have to do something about it. So, continue to hold on all the time. With some clever wiggling of your fingers, transfer all the reins and the mane without letting go into one hand and free up this hand. With your free hand, you're going to reach down the rein as far as you can towards the bit. And in a moment, I'm going to ask you to pull him down and round. Down, because you don't want him going up. And round, because you have to continue to go forwards. You can't go forwards in that direction, so we're going to go forwards in that direction. Reassert our mastery. As soon as your horse takes a step, it's moving. If it's moving, it can't rear, so you've won. So as soon as it takes a step, normal contact, sit up, drive it on. Really impulsion and drive it round in a big circle, get that mastery back again. The horse will probably thinks it's won, it probably thinks it's going home, it probably gets a little bit of impulsion there. Take it round and take a second bite at the direction that you want it to go. Once you've decided that, leg on, drive on, loose rein, go, 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 because the horse needs to stop in order to rear, so come hell or high water, it's not going to stop. Okay then, Freddie, do that in 3, 2, 1, go. Sit up, drive on, leg on. Drive the horse on, don't let it even consider stopping. Get on, loose rein, leg on, drive on. Absolutely no choice but to keep going. The horse has to stop in order to rear, so come hell or high water, it's not going to stop. If you do that 3 or 4 times, the horse is going to give up. So eventually, the signals become less and less exaggerated, and now our signal to our horses, when we don't want them to rear, is just a quick shake of one rein and a sharp word, nah, and that's all they need. For our job, of course, it's just as important to teach horses when not to rear as when to rear, and that's by far the more difficult half of the equation, which requires another video for another day. The real thing that I like most about this is the whole part where Freddie was training himself and his horse what to do with a rear. He wasn't on a rearing horse. He was just sat on a horse going through it in his head. What I will do is grab hold of this, grab hold of that. I will turn the horse like this, and he practiced grabbing on and turning the horse and coming round. Everything he practiced and got prepared for wasn't on bullseye when he was rearing. Bullseye was just on the ground. So you can practice with your horses. You can get them desensitized to suddenly grabbing their manes or whatever. You don't need to be on a rearing horse to practice. You can get those tools in your belt starting today.